Oh, we're ready. Yay. All right, so hey y'all, back to another episode of The Book Alert, where we read them and spoil them. So this week, we are going to be talking about Jackal. Jackal by Erin Adams. This is Erin's debut novel, just released October the 4th. This right here is the arc, so it's going to look a smidge different than what is in stores, but the cover, if I'm not mistaken, remains the exact same. So the cover art is the same, but this right here is the arc. So I need you all to bear with me because I read this book 2-3 months ago, something along those lines, and my memory is, not what I thought it would be. Age will do that to you. So we're going to be talking about Jackal. Jackal here is a thriller. I am convinced, number one, that even though my favorite genre will forever be fantasy, I'm going to say thrillers are definitely like a very, very close second. I've started reading a lot more of them more recently and have enjoyed them. So Jackal, I will forever love this book and think everyone should read it. And the reason behind why this one right here touched on so many themes, but in addition to touching on themes, there are very few books that make me want to close them at night because shadows start to look like beings, and I am just that much of a punk to be like, you know what? We're going to close this because, yeah, I don't want to have nightmares. And it, like, the book itself wasn't scary, but the setup and the anticipation of it, like the suspense behind it, definitely had me side-eyeing some of the shadows in my room. And it doesn't help that in the book, they're like the constant phrase in regards to shadows is, if you hear your name, don't answer. And if you see something, don't look. And then the reason behind that is because if you hear your name and you answer, this like shadow being is going to come and snatch you. And if you see something move and you look at it, it now targets you, locks onto you, and you come up missing. So needless to say, when I started seeing shadows at 11 p.m. in my bedroom while I was reading this, I was like, we're going to go ahead and close this up. So let's get into the spoiling. So a little spoiler alert here. If you have not read it, you might want to not continue, but come back to it so we can have a discussion after, because I don't mind chatting with y'all in the comments. Well, some of y'all. So Jackal here, you have a few main characters. You have Elizabeth, who goes by Liz, Black woman who is from this small town in Pennsylvania, moved out of Pennsylvania, moved to New York, became a city girl, and is back, has returned home for her best friend's wedding. Her best friend is Melissa, who goes by Mel, is marrying her like boyfriend after I think like 10 years. Melissa is white. Her fiance is Black, I believe. And they have a daughter who is biracial, obviously, Caroline. So these more Liz and Mel and Caroline will probably be the names I'm going to say the most. More so Liz than anyone. So Liz returns home. She's one of those individuals who essentially escaped small town life, moved away, doesn't really care to return home, but her best friend invited her back home for the wedding, and so she obliged and returned home. Because, I mean, what are best friends for if not to return to a place that you despise because they asked you to? So she returns home, and immediately her anxiety is through the roof the moment she returns home. And she returns home, hadn't seen her mom, I want to say in about 6 months. But even when she had last seen her mom, it wasn't because she went back home. I don't know where they saw each other at. It was over Christmas, but I don't know where they were at. Maybe mom came to her. Don't know, don't care. But she returns home, first sees her mom. Her mom is Haitian, so Liz is of Haitian descent. And one of the interesting things, and this is kind of a side, but I've noticed it, and I have questions. For those of us in the diaspora, is it like a Black people thing for this? Because it happened in the book, and I've seen it in a lot of books, and it's happened in my family and quite a few of my friends' families. I'm wondering if this is just across the diaspora. I am not of Haitian descent, but I am in the diaspora, so I am asking this question. This Haitian mother looks at her daughter, critiques her up and down, tells her she's gained weight and everything else. Like, what is it about these elders who kind of want to point out every little thing wrong? Like, look at your hair. You gonna do something about that? What are we doing with it? Because it looks a little nappy. You've gained weight. It does not matter if you're a size 6 and went from a 6 to an 8, which is still very small. You've gained weight. You're getting fat. Like, is that a thing? It's definitely happening in this book. Liz, that was part of the reason Liz moved away. There was more to it, but that was part of the reason Liz moved away. Liz hates returning home. Liz is like, there is literally nothing I can do in your eyes to make you see that, not perfect, because no one's perfect, but that I'm excelling. I mean, her mom's a doctor whose husband left. Liz's dad left because essentially he was intimidated by mom's success. And he kept pushing the bar higher and higher and higher. Liz's mom kept trying to achieve it because she's a perfectionist. And so she wants her child, Liz, to live by said standards. And even though Liz is successful, very successful in her own right, mom is always going to point something out. Now, my mom is not like that. My mom is not that person. However, elders in my family very much are. It's like, you're doing what? Well, what about this? Well, have you thought about this? Well, can't you improve this? Oh, you're not married. Is that like something that has to be a thing? And so one of the things Liz says is, according to her mom, if she is single after 30, she's a failure. If she is gaining even just a smidge of weight, she is automatically obese. And I can't remember what the other thing was, but essentially it's this whole need to critique the family. And I have questions about that, but I digress. So Liz goes home, she sees her mom, all the things, and Liz is just kind of like, okay. You know, you kind of take it in silence. Okay. And you just ignore it. I stopped doing that a long time ago. I'm grown. Say what you want. I'm out. But I know everyone is not like that. So, you know, Liz takes it in silence and just kind of sits with it, even though she's like steaming on the inside. She meets up with Mel. Fast forward. Oh, Mel tells her where the wedding is going to be. And this is very much necessary for the story. So the wedding is in, I guess, Mel's brother's backyard or something, which is adjacent and leads into the woods. The woods are a thing. Okay. Remember what I said about shadows. So the woods are a thing. Once Mel mentions, Mel hadn't said this before. Liz, being the best friend she is, hopped on a train, got to Pennsylvania, never knew where the venue was going to be, and the venue is in the woods. Liz hates the woods. First of all, we don't go into the woods. Second of all, Liz hates the woods for a very good reason. And so she was already ready to back out at that moment. But again, best friend, she was like, all right, bestie, I got you. Is it in the woods or just near the woods? And Mel was like, it's just near. You can see the woods, but we're not going to be in the woods. I don't care. I don't understand why we partying near woods, but whatevs. So fast forward, they have the wedding. Reception is outdoors. Everybody is partying. In steps Caroline, the daughter of Mel and her now husband. Liz is Caroline's godmother. Liz is tasked for whatever reason with like watching the kids, Caroline included, as they play. I guess the brother, or Liz's brother, or I'm sorry, Mel's brother was watching them. Not sure what else he was doing, but he wasn't quite paying attention, it sounds like. And so Liz ends up watching them. And they're playing some game where they are tossing items. I don't know. I don't play in woods. This whole game doesn't make sense to me because I don't play in woods. But whatevs. They're tossing items towards the woods, in the woods, whatever. Liz is like, don't go too far. She walks away to go get something, water, juice, something. I don't know. And when she walks away, the bartender is someone that I guess she used to have a crush on. He used to have a crush on her, something like that. I don't know. They start chatting. Next thing you know, a little bit of time has passed. She goes back to, supervise the children. Can't find Caroline. And so the book begins. So she can't find Caroline. Now she's looking around. She's trying not to panic. We're not going to really notify anyone. She's got to be around here somewhere. I mean, she's a kid. Where could she possibly have gone? So she starts walking around looking for Caroline, kind of, making little inquiries. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Everyone's like, no, she was, you were watching her. So have you seen her? Finally, panic ensues because she's like, okay, I really can't find this kid. Notifies the parents who were like on the dance floor. First of all, I'm sure that's a horrible experience. I mean, imagine being at your wedding. Someone's supposed to be watching your child and you're getting pulled away from your wedding to now search for a missing child who is your child. So there's that. Needless to say, the child is actually missing. They found, I guess, the toys or whatever. The other kids that were with her had went off and played elsewhere or gone someplace else. And so Caroline was playing by herself, walks into the woods, and now Caroline is missing. So there's that. Fast forward, now everyone's looking. Of course, the blame game is being placed solely on Liz's shoulders because you were watching the kid. You can't find the kid. Don't really think that was fair. Like, yes, you should have been supervising, but all of these adults, and it, mind you, it's not like there was hundreds of people at this wedding. So all these adults, all of you are related to this child, and why are we placing it on one person? No one laid eyes on kids. I don't know about you all, but when I'm at family functions, if there's one thing we look at, it's the children. Okay, you keep in contact. Like, listen, I don't know about your kids over there, but I'm gonna keep in contact. Even if I'm not the one that's supposed to be supervising, I'm gonna make sure I have eyes on the ones that belong to me. So whatevs. I don't know who these people are, but whatevs. They're placing the blame on Liz because she was supposed to be watching. Now, Mel's brother and father are, I don't know if they were police officers, firefighters. They were one of the two. Remember, I told y'all I read this book a couple months ago, so forgive me. They were one of the two. And so they get pulled in. And now starts the game of who took Caroline. Because now everyone's beginning to look like a suspect. Like, if you've watched any kind of a crime show, I do not care what the show is. I don't care if it's SVU. I don't care if it's Criminal Minds. I don't care what it is. If you've watched any of those shows, you're probably going to be like me. And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, it's got to be this poor person. It very much, what was that kid's game? What was it? Guess Who or something like that? Guess or something along those lines. Who did it? Who done it? Is one of those things where you're essentially trying to solve the crime. I mean, we all know in the end, we're going to figure out who it is. But no, I need to figure it out in advance. So I'm going to beat the book to the end. And I'm going to figure out who done took this kid and what they did to this kid. So I'm going through and now I'm looking at all these individuals. When I say I went through every member of the family to figure out who, in my mind, took this child and how we figured it out. Because they were trying to place the blame on Liz. We know Liz didn't. We know Liz didn't take the kid because it's evident that Liz didn't take the kid. But, of course, they're trying to place the blame on Liz because Liz was supposed to be watching it. Now, watching her. So, at this point, I'm now looking around trying to figure out, okay, who done took this child? First, it was the brother. I was convinced it was the brother. Then I was convinced it was the dad. And the reason why, y'all real chummy. Y'all don't really want to call in the big dogs. Y'all don't really want to call in the police. Y'all don't want to do everything you're supposed to do. You're calling in your buddies. And you're real chummy. And you're over here chuckling. I don't know about y'all. But a kid go missing in my vicinity. What we not about to do is sit around and chuckle. Okay? What we chuckling for? Go find the kid. Where is the kid? Why we chuckling? What you hi-hiing for? What's so funny? Do you know what a kid is? No, well then shut up and go find them. So them chuckling, to me that was automatic guilt. Like you did it. Where's your basement? Open your trunk. Where's the child? Of course, they're feeling some kind of way because Liz is coming to the same, me and Liz, we on the same page. Liz came to the same conclusion I did. What you hee-heeing for? Where's the child? Where were you? And why you don't want to call in the big dogs? Like, why are we not calling in the big people who actually know what to do? You called in your friends. What you calling in your friends for? Why is the whole state not looking for this child? Like, I don't understand. Why we over here chuckling? So I'm with Liz. The brother did it. Okay, maybe not the brother. Okay, the daddy did it. I mean, why you think the daddy did it? Because, I mean, why not? He a little suspect. And then I find out that he got some issues with black people, to include his now son-in-law. I mean, your grandchild biracial. Like, I mean, yeah, you could be like, oh, well, not the child. Man, you got issues with black people. She's not exempt. She black. So now I have questions that need answers. So I'm over here. Now, mind you, I was wrong. But that's irrelevant. They sounded like good suspects. To me, they were great suspects. But I was wrong. So we going through all of this. So now it's up to Liz. Liz now needs to figure out, because no one is doing their job. Again, little black girl goes missing. Why no one doing anything? Why is no one doing anything? But that's okay, because we gonna figure it out. So then Liz starts doing a little research, and puzzle pieces start matching up. All of a sudden, when she starts to do research, she starts to realize every so many years, a little black girl goes missing in this town. And no one has decided. There's always some freak accident or reasoning behind why no one does anything. Be it the parent is crazy, the parent's on drugs, whatever. They have found a way to literally systematically, or systemically, however you want to put it, but systematically, like, put a blanket over all of these missing children. All little black girls. This is relevant. All little black girls. And I want to say, I feel like it's an every 10-year thing, but I could be a little off on my numbers because, read this a couple months ago. Whatevs. Read it and correct me. Don't care. But I'm pretty sure it's like every 10 years, a little black girl goes missing. But for whatever reason, no one has connected the dots. No one. I mean, I'm trying to understand how this is occurring every 10 years. You all have grown up in this area, and yet no one has connected said dots. And they all seem to go missing near the woods. We don't go in the woods. This is why we don't go in the woods. But okay, whatevs. But everyone in the town knows, if you hear your name, don't answer. And if you see something, don't look. Everyone, this is like a rule that has been passed down to everyone. And so Liz starts to do her detective work, and Liz starts to do her research, and Liz begins to see the pattern. Come to find out, the parents or like family members or whatever, but mainly parents, are still in the town. I feel like 10 years is not accurate, but it's around that. The parents are still in the town. So now Liz is talking to these black moms like, what happened? Where is your child? What happened to your case? What is going on? Like, I don't understand. You were all here. Come to find out, they've all been connected the entire time. At first, they didn't want to talk to Liz because Liz was a bit of an outsider. Even though she was from the town, to them, they were like, your goddaughter goes missing, and all of a sudden the police and everybody gets called in to look for this child. What happened when our kids went missing? Like, snap of a finger and you can get the police in here. But Liz didn't, Liz was just having issues. Liz fell out with her best friend, Mel. I kind of understood, but I still was like, yo, come on, bestie. I'm here because of you. I done came back to this town because you called me. Now you don't want to talk to me. You letting your family influence how you feel about me. Like, yo, I really want to tell Mel to kick rocks, but you can't because I understand your child is missing. So there's a lot more to it. This is a complex situation, but I still want to tell Mel to kick rocks. But, I digress. So Liz and Mel kind of fell out. Of course, now her brother, Mel's brother, is like, I don't know, standing in the doorway, gatekeeping, whatever. Like, oh, you can't talk to her, blah, blah, blah. There were all kinds of things like of course, okay, so the mom is missing her child. So she's like looking through the house trying to see if she came back, whatever. I don't know what she was looking for, but she found her crayons and all these things. But then the next time you look, the crayons come up missing. Like, again, pointing to, it's people who have been in this house. Like, crayons were there, then the crayons weren't there. To me, I'm still saying the brother or the daddy. Like, one of you did it. I don't know who, I don't know why, but one of you did it. So in all of this, Liz has essentially then been told to stay away from the crime scene or whatever, the backyard. She's been told to stay away. Okay. So she's still in contact with the bartender. There's like a lady or a person, or don't know who this woman is, that's sitting outside her mama's house, watching the house. Like, all this craziness is going on. She moves forward with it, and she decides, because at first the detectives and everybody were looking at her. Everyone questioned her. The detectives, everyone questioned her, pretty much blamed her, took her DNA, everything. Like, they were intent to pin this on Liz. They were okay with that. Do your job. Stop trying to pin it on people and actually do your job. But whatevs. The only ally in her corner was the assistant to like the detective and medical examiner or something like that. He was the assistant and he was in her corner. He was like, yo, let's figure this out. Let's try to help. Like, and we all know how it is. Like, he was the assistant, but he was actually smarter than his own boss. That has never happened before. He was the assistant, but he actually, was smarter, knew stuff, and was deciding he was going to help Liz because he was aware of all of the missing girls. And I think he helped her to link the cases. I don't know. He did something like that. But in the end, he was helping her. He was like, let's figure this out. So as we get closer, she then confronts the girl who's outside, watching her house. A dead deer ends up on her mama kitchen table. Like, she comes home at night and there's this dead deer just lying on dining room table. Mama upstairs sleeping. Of course, that scared the mess out of her. It was essentially a message to scare her. And terrify her mom, because then all of these flyers and things, I want to say for like the KKK, start showing up at her mama house. Like, all these things started happening to essentially scare the mess out of Liz and her mama. And we're going to fast forward a bit because, it's just amazing. But in the end, you learned that, oh, wait, before I even tell you who did it, she also eventually thanks, because I want to say there were crayons or something in the back of the bartender's truck. And he had all of this equipment to move around deer. He also then became a prime suspect because everything was pointing to him. So of course I'm going through with the book and I'm like, oh, it's definitely the bartender. So we done went from the brother to the daddy to the bartender. It's definitely all these people. I was wrong the entire time because you know who it was? It was the person who helped her the entire time. It was the assistant, the one giving her the clues, the one helping her link everything, the puzzle pieces, the one giving her the evidence, the photos, everything, the one who handed her all of the information she needed. And look, the least guilty was the one who kidnapped Caroline. Okay, spoiler. And you want to know why? This is the thing. You want to know why? Because he was mad. Not at Liz, but at black people as a whole. And he said it. He said it. He was mad. He said, you people came here and took everything I worked hard because this town or something I worked hard for, because this town or whatever it was built on our backs. He was upset because he didn't make it into the academy or a law school or wherever he was trying to get to, medical school. He was trying to get into medical school. He didn't make it into medical school as if, that had anything to do with Liz, but whatever. He didn't make it into medical school. He had learned it from his daddy because his daddy, remember I said these have been going on for years. Clearly he was too young when it first started out. It was actually his dad who began kidnapping the black girls. And his dad, and only black girls, not little black boys, only black girls. His dad passed his racism, bigotry, whatever, on to prejudices, all of it, passed it on to his son and essentially raised his son to believe that the reasoning behind why he couldn't achieve what he was trying to achieve was because of black people. Don't know what had to do with whatever, but essentially what he was saying was the reason why I couldn't get where I was trying to get to was because of affirmative action. That's essentially what he was saying, which we all know is incorrect. Factually, it is incorrect. But whatevs. That's what he believed. And so he felt as though all of the ones who had something going for themselves, any black girl who appeared as though they could in some way succeed and leave that small town, those are the ones he kidnapped. He kidnapped amazing ballet dancers who had the ability to go beyond. He actually, and the reasoning behind why Liz hates the woods, even though we don't go into the woods. The reason Liz hates the woods is because back, I want to say she was in high school, middle school, high school, something along those lines. And I pray that I'm not mixing this up with a different book, but I'm 97% sure this is this book, 98% sure. Way back when there was a party in the woods. Don't know who I am 100% sure. Don't know who partied in the woods or why they partied in the woods. Not my thing. I'm not partying in the woods, but whatevs. They were partying in the woods. And I want to say the cops came to break it up or something along those lines. And so they all like scattered. If I'm not mistaken, the bartender from the wedding is the boy from the woods during that party that she like ran with. So that was the link to them too. I probably should have said that, but that was the link to them too. There was one other, so Liz was like this awkward black girl. In high school, they all called her an Oreo because, you know, she was black, but she didn't act like, sound like, whatever the other black girls, didn't listen to the same music, didn't have rhythm, blah, blah, blah. So she was essentially excluded from both sects of school, but, you know, be it the black kids or the white kids. She was just like the oddball. That is actually how she and Mel became friends, because Mel defended her when some kids were bullying her. But anyways, when she got to high school, there was like this other black girl who I think was friendly toward her. I think she was friendly toward her. But either way, I guess she admired her. I don't really know. But the bartender back in high school and that black girl, I want to say were a couple or something along those lines. The bartender wanted to chat with her, just talk to her, whatever. Police came in, broke up the whatever was going on in these woods that we ain't supposed to be in. And they all went scattering. The bartender, I want to say, stuffs Liz into like this hollow log or whatever to hide, because then you hear this dog bark. And so she's like hiding. And at this point, the other black girl, and I swear I wish I remembered her name, was running too. So apparently, and this is how it all turns out, apparently Liz was supposed to be the one that was kidnapped back then. Liz was never kidnapped. The other black girl was taken. Liz swore that she was bitten by this dog. So she has these marks on her arms, which is also why she is terrified of the woods. Because she remembers seeing this animal, shadowy being, whatever, in the woods. Tries to reach her arm out to grab the black girl so that the black girl can come hide with her. Right before she was able to grab the black girl was snatched. And so that was one of the ones that was taken. So that's kind of how all of this, like with the woods and her fear of the woods, began. Needless to say, when they captured Caroline, it was in the woods. When she realized that Doug is the assistant, by the way. He's the assistant to the cops. Or the medical examiner, whatever. He's the assistant. So when she realizes it was Doug, he's on the search team with her. I believe he's paired up with her. So once she starts to put two and two together, don't remember how she starts to put two and two together. But once she starts to put two and two together, she's now out here in the woods in the dark with the killer and kidnapper, or I shouldn't say killer, the kidnapper. And now she has to figure out a way to like get Caroline, not let him know that she's on to him, like all of these things. Mel is out there. Everyone is out there. The bartender and the brother, all of them are out there looking. She was able to get everybody to come together and look, even though the police are searching as well. Gets them all together. And that's when Doug essentially goes on his little rant about how he's mad that everything was taken from him. And he also goes on to say that, you know, he was the one that tried to kidnap her. Not tried to kidnap her. He was the one, she was his first victim, or was supposed to be his first kidnapping victim. So it's all these things that begin to come out in this thing. But it just kind of shows essentially how much of a disease racism is. And not like medically or mental health wise, but like it festered and festered and festered. And it just became this huge like infection that grew inside of he and his dad, all because of what? And what makes it even worse, it was actually Liz's mama who helped Doug when Doug was a little kid. Because Doug ended up in the ER. Can't remember how, why, whatever. But he ended up in the ER like essentially without... he had ended up in the ER, and it was Liz's mom who helped him when he ended up in the ER. She was like the doctor who had helped him, got him back to healthy, but then ended up having to, I guess, get pulled away because, you know, she's in the ER. And she had lost contact, but he even says like she's the reason why he wanted to enter like the medical field. Like he had never seen a black doctor. He saw this black doctor and was like, man, if she can do it, I can do it. Don't know why that came to his mind, but cool. If she can do it, I can do it. And so that's what happened. And so that's where we are. So man, this was a good one. When I say, oh, and in the end, like Doug is the kidnapper, but remember what I said about the shadows? I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. So if anyone read this, please help me understand these shadows, because the shadows weren't Doug, but they were like an entity like inside of Doug that like took the shape of a dog. So like it was like a thing. Like there was an actual like entity being that was shadows that like formed into like the fears of the humans, which I guess ended up being the monster or the dog or whatever. But like in order to get away, because there's this whole showdown that happens in the woods. Like I think Mel ends up getting killed. Like all these things are happening because not only is Doug the kidnapper, his wife played a role because his wife was jealous of everyone, all the haves in the area, because I guess they were part of the have-nots. Who knows? Who cares? But they were all playing about it. And so they were trying to kill Mel. They were trying to kill Liz. They were trying to kill all of them. So all this stuff happens in the woods, and this like shadow being makes itself known, and Liz has to like take a piece of the shadow being inside. I don't know. The ending was a little confusing. So if anyone has read it, help me out. I might have answers later on, because this is also the book club read for the month of October, and we are going to chat with Erin Adams. So I might have this info later on, and you know, what have you. But it is an amazing read. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I made it sound really crazy, I know, but it is really crazy. And it had my anxiety through the roof and my heart palpitating. I'm telling you, I was in there like, ooh, what's going on? What's going to happen? So if you have not yet picked up Jackal, you can do so. First of all, you can come into the store because we have copies. Don't know how much longer we'll have them, but we can always reorder. There's that. Or you can go on my website, rvabookbar.com, and follow the link to shop books, and you can get it through my website. But definitely, if you've read it, leave a comment. If you haven't read it, go read it and then come back and leave a comment. Like, talk to me, people. I want to know what your thoughts are, because I absolutely love this book. But yeah, that's what we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in.